If you've seen Disney's 60th animated film, Encanto, then stick around and let's talk about Mirabel and the power of empathy. Hey guys, welcome to the Fangirl. I'm your powerless hostess, McGann, and you guys just seem to really like it when I break down emotional turmoil, so let's do that today with Mirabel and Encanto. Encanto. I need to turn up that 12% of Spaniard in me to try to get through this. I'm going to pronounce everything wrong, so just bear with me. If you haven't seen this movie, but you want to stay in the loop to watch this video, the gist is there's this woman in Colombia who just had triplets, and she is forced to flee her hometown, and then her husband Pedro is mowed down by... I'm not really sure. I don't know Colombian history. Marauders? Please educate me in the comments section, YouTube. But hubby is gone, fresh widow cries out, somehow she imbues a candle with magic, which in turn builds a bunch of mountainous walls and creates this little valley where a house springs out of nowhere, and that house is sentient to help take care of the mama and her babies. When her children started turning something like 7 years old, the candle also blessed them with a gift and a special door, which would take the child to this giant special room that was really tailored and acclimated for whatever power that child got. Am I confusing you yet? But the entire house seemed to run on TARDIS technology where everything was bigger on the inside. So the triplets grow up, most of them have kids, and then those children themselves end up getting special powers in rooms too. Well, that is except for Mirabel, who, for no given reason ever, just tries to turn her doorknob and the whole door turns to ashes right in her face while she stands there looking horrified and becomes the disappointment of her entire family. As Mirabel gets older, she feels like the outcast of her family, but she puts on a good face and makes peace with the fact that her family is spectacular and she's just lucky to be a part of it. However, it turns out that Mirabel's two sisters have their own emotional struggles, but they also have to put on a good face to keep the family happy. Or, more specifically, to keep Abuela happy, because she puts all of this pressure on everybody to be perfect. They're these supernatural creatures that live above the rest of their village, and it is their duty to look down on them and help. Fun way to live. Anyways, the Casita starts falling apart, family members start losing their powers, and despite her best efforts, Mirabel just isn't equipped to save the day. I won't spoil the ending this time, but all ends up being well. There's emotional growth from Grandmama, and the family gets to go on being happier and healthier. Huzzah! Although there were a few issues in this movie that really bugged me that they didn't get addressed. Like, was the candle just Grandpa Pedro's spirit? Or was it Abuelo that was haunting the Casita and making it a living entity? Plus, what exactly was Abuela's gift? I feel like that was never clearly defined. It's also strange that we have this huge adventure movie, but they never really leave the house. What a weird metaphor for 2020 and 2021. But I have never seen anything done quite like it, so I approve. Not to mention, my daughter caught that Mirabel wears this little rainbow pin that is in the bi-flag colors of pink, purple, and blue. So way to be sneaky there, Disney, and push a character forward without setting off all of the haters. Clever girl. And I do have to give this movie a huge round of applause for not giving Mirabel powers at the end of the film. I mean, she wanted them. It would have been the highlight of her life to get powers, but Mirabel was good enough all by herself without adding any extra abilities, and that is the entire point of the story. In fact, what is most special about Mirabel is her extreme level of empathy. That's what saves her entire family, and that's where the real magic comes from. So let's talk more about that now. Alright, so not having powers when everybody else in your family has them has to be such a painful, gut-wrenching way to live, right? And let's be honest, Mirabel's direct family unit are the big dogs in terms of powers. Julieta makes this special cheesy tortilla thing that my American raised behind is not going to try to pronounce. And that tortilla thingy heals people! Compared to controlling the weather with your mood or seeing vague, unclear predictions of the future like Mirabel's aunt and uncle can do, I mean, come on. The power to physically heal any and all ailments is a much more applicable thing in a day-to-day setting. And since the Madrigal family has dedicated themselves to servitude, I mean, Julieta hit the lottery with her power. Then Julieta has 3 daughters, Mirabel, who has no powers for some reason, Isabella, who is super beautiful and she covers the town in these gorgeous flowers that they all go wild for, which that power is just kind of like, ooh, you're not pretty enough, so let's give you the power to be super awesome, amazing pretty. And then there's Luisa, who is super strong. And because Luisa is so physically strong, she takes on all the chores and problems of the entire village. And that goes from donkey wrangling to actually rerouting the river with her fists. So Luisa, Isabella, and Julieta never really have to prove their worth. They're these superstars that get endless admiration. But Mirabel, she's forced to sit back and watch her family be amazing, while she herself never gets to feel good enough. I mean, come on, they won't even get her a room in the house. They keep her in the nursery, which is for little tiny kids. But in that pain, that insecurity complex, Mirabel's heart just keeps growing back bigger. She cannot be a hero in her family, but she can offer love and support and be the biggest cheerleader they could ever imagine. So that's what Mirabel does. That's what her niche in the family system is. However, Abuela still sees Mirabel's lack of a gift as a blight on the family name. And so Abuela responds to Mirabel in almost an abusive, narcissistic way. So Mirabel is allowed to sit at the table and be part of the family and live in the house and all of that good stuff. But Grandma looks down on her and says passive-aggressive comments to her, and she's just always making sure that Mirabel never feels good enough as she is. But you know what? Mirabel's heart just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and she keeps trying to find acceptance anyways. And even if Abuela doesn't appreciate it, the other family members do. For example, Mirabel's parents love her as is. I mean, her father doesn't have any powers. He's a total outsider. And when Antonio gets nervous about his door ceremony, Mirabel is the only one who knows where to find him. And she comforts him, both verbally and by giving him the only gift he gets for his, big day. And the gift is this little handmade stuffed jaguar because Mirabel knows him and she knows what he likes and she cares about him. So she's able to coax Antonio out and do something he's nervous about because she has this very calming, healing energy about herself. Then as the story unfolds, it turns out that Luisa has so much work and pressure that she's put on her own shoulders that she has no idea how to relax without feeling like that's bringing shame onto the entire family line. Luisa is tough and she wants to take on all the work and handle all of the emotional issues by herself because she feels like she has to be unbreakable. But Luisa is tired. She wants to be soft. She needs to relax for her own mental health. But she can't without feeling like a disappointment. And the first and only person to ever hear Luisa's feelings and meet her where she was, not just go, tut tut, your feelings can be suppressed because you need to be happy, 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 was Mirabel. Like the family itself, Luisa is strong AF on the outside, but there was a missing emotional component that compartmentalized her feelings and her personal needs from her abilities. Then we look at Isabella, the queen of the flowers. Mirabel has a lot of repressed resentment from having this perfect sister who is always overshadowing her. But when Mirabel hashes things out with Isabella, she finds out that being the golden child is miserable. She has so many eyes on her to just be prim and proper and perfect at every waking second. And she was about to marry somebody that she didn't even like just for the good of the family, to make Abuela happy. There was so much I have to put myself last in the Madrigal household that the house started cracking and breaking because the residents' mental states were cracking and breaking. But being mad at Mirabel and actually feeling that feeling allowed Isabella to make a cactus for the first time ever. And that opened up a whole world for Isabella to express herself with things that weren't perfect and ideal and symmetrical. It gave her a new outlet, a new way to experience life. And it brought her heart closer to Mirabel's because Mirabel Mirabel had the strength to just stand there and listen when somebody needed it. Even Uncle Bruno. He felt so ostracized because everybody took his omens as these dark, creepy things that ruined the day-to-day world. So he ran away to live in the walls for like a decade at least. Bruno loved his family and he didn't want to be apart from them, but his mental health snapped in a way that he couldn't repair on his own. And it was all because his family didn't know how to accept him for who or where he was. So they just became annoyed or afraid of him. But Mirabel found him and pushed him to be his perfectly imperfect self. And having that kind of support gave Bruno the strength to try and rejoin his family when he could have just disappeared into the woods. Or jungle, maybe? I'm not really clear on Colombian topography. But Bruno would have never seen his mother or sisters face to face again if not for Mirabel. And Mirabel's empathy is so strong that it actually helps Abuela rediscover her own empathy. Granny wasn't a bad person. She was just stuck with a lot of unprocessed pain from her past, especially around her husband's death. And so Abuela developed this need to control everything around her and just have utter perfection. That's how she was able to feel safe. It was just Abuela's way of dealing with her grief, or maybe not dealing with it, but either way, it wasn't really a conscious decision for how she was acting. She was reacting. Then here comes Mirabel with no powers, and it's almost like a reminder of everything that Granny has been mentally running from for the past 50 years. So of course, you're going to start having this resentment bubble up when you have this perfect curated family photo, and here is one family member looking in the wrong direction. Whether she was consciously aware of it or not, that's what Mirabel felt like to Abuela. And honestly, as messed up and damaging as that kind of mindset in an authority figure in your household can be, you know, Grandma's running the whole show here. She is the HBIC and you are going to bow down and kiss that ring. So as much as having the head of your family subtly not like you really hurts you as a person on a core level, I really don't think that Abuela knew that she was doing that until Mirabel challenged her. And that direct type of confrontation really tore down Abuela's walls, both physically and mentally. And so Grandma ends up having a real healthy breakthrough, which only serves to make the entire family better and stronger. And the movie ends with the family and Mirabel just having to accept herself as exactly who she is. And again, I am so thankful that the movie did not give Mirabel any mystical powers by the end of the film. Mirabel is so perfect and quirky and amazing all by herself, so giving her any gift at all would never have done Mirabel justice. The Madrigal family needed love, and Mirabel's empathy helped them more than a million superpowers could have. But what do you think? Were you satisfied with the movie, the ending, the music? Let me know in the comments. And I might be overthinking it, but that's literally my job. If you've already seen Disney's 60th animated film Encanto, then stick around and let's talk about Mirabel and the power of empathy. I don't have my freaking microphone on. Yay. Blue Snowball, are you check? Not you freaking... Ooh. You start with me out there, Cardinal, and we are going to have a problem. I will set a trap. You keep tapping on that window, I will set a trap for you. You are beautiful, but you are not going to do this to me. And since the Madrigal... And since the Madrigal... And so Abuela developed this... I hate this bird. And so Abuela... Bird! And that opened up a new world for Isabella to make things that were... to express herself with things that aren't symmetrical and lovely and ideal. The power to physically heal any and all ailments is a much more applicable thing in a day-to-day world, in a day-to-day setting. Oh God, please. Please, 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 please. Don't you play with me now. Don't you give me this stress attack that you didn't record my audio. This is 40 minutes because I keep tripping on my words. Don't you make me re-record it. Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self. And I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, "Hey McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that?" Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Family. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Family and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos, like you, helps to tell the site, "Hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people." So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, "Hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members. Bye."